All right, the time is now 5 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call our work session to order. Our first item of business is a Community Development Department brief. Director Slay.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
This would be considered, I guess, a mid-year fiscal year. Decided to do something a little bit different this evening. So we do have a video to run for you. After the video presents this evening, we will have it posted up on our website. First thing tomorrow, so the public can enjoy it.
Thank you.
Welcome. The following presentation utilizes AI-generated voice technology to enhance accessibility and engagement. We aim to ensure all audience members, both in person and online, can fully experience the content of the presentation. This approach supports ADA accessibility standards and allows the presentation to be shared for broader community access. Created by Leslie Slay, Director of Community Development for the City of Red Bank, Tennessee, the following is a mid-year presentation for fiscal year 26. Let's get started. Unlike the visible and tangible work produced by the public works, police, and fire departments, the outcomes of a community development department are often less physical, but no less impactful. While the desired outcomes of a community development department may not appear immediately, the deliberate planning that guides each initiative is essential to ensuring lasting, sustainable results for the City of Red Bank. Community development itself is a long-term investment where meaningful progress often requires time, patience, and collaboration. Through the city's intentional planning processes, the Community Development Department benefits immensely from a collaborative framework that integrates civic leadership, professional staff, and engaged citizens. Central to the success of this collaborative framework are our Red Bank Citizen Advisory Boards, whose invested members work behind the scenes, often without the recognition they truly deserve. These dedicated community volunteers lend their time, expertise, and passion to help guide projects, shape policies, and inform long-term planning efforts. Collectively, these boards help support the city's economic growth, enhance quality of life, and ensure that Red Bank reflects both community priorities and long-term municipal goals. Let's take a look and honor them individually. First up, we have the Planning Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals. While separate citizen-led bodies, these two advisory boards work in tandem to support the orderly and thoughtful growth of our community. The Planning Commission guides long-range developments by reviewing land use proposals, shaping policy, and ensuring projects align with our community's vision as reflected in the Red Bank Comprehensive Plan. Board members include Robin Parker, Chair, Ben Richards, Vice Chair, Kate Skonberg, Secretary, Sonia Millard, and Blake Pierce. The Board of Zoning Appeals complements this work by interpreting zoning regulations, providing relief when unique circumstances arise, and ensuring fairness and consistency in how those rules are applied. BZA board members includes Rufus Smith, Chair, Chad Bullard, Vice Chair, Sonia Millard, Pete Phillips, and Karen Zhu. Together, their combined efforts help maintain neighborhood character, promote responsible investment, and ensure that Red Bank grows in a way that is balanced, strategic, and beneficial for all residents. Direct staff support is through the Community Development Department, including Director Leslie Slay, Community Planner Michael Pham, Building Official Eddie Clinton, and Office Manager Beth Powell. The Red Bank Cemetery Advisory Board, while focused on a specific and sacred community asset, contributes meaningfully to our overall vision for stewardship and civic pride. Through thoughtful guidance on maintenance, preservation, and planning, the board protects those spaces that honor history, family, and community identity. Their work aligns with the efforts of other citizen boards by ensuring Red Bank's heritage is respected and its public spaces remain dignified and well cared for. Cemetery Advisory Board members include Sal Arrigo Jr., John Shearer, Freddie Hanner, Samantha Doss-Watson, Emily Crouch, Rhonda Basner, Stephanie Hare, Susan Bell, and Anthony Sims Jr. Direct city staff support come from the Public Works Department and includes Director Greg Tate and Facilities Manager Justin Hendrick. The Nonprofit Advisory Board, though distinct from other citizen boards, works to strengthen the social fabric of our community. By supporting local nonprofit organizations and championing partnerships, this board helps ensure residents have access to resources and opportunities that enhance quality of life. Their efforts complement broader community development goals by promoting resilience, connection, and a culture of shared responsibility. Board members include Hillary Evans, Chairperson, Kendrick Webster, Freddie Hanner, Lisanne Bowling, Lori Kyle, and Tiffany Bell. Direct city staff support is through the Community Development Department, including Director Leslie Slay and Office Manager Beth Powell. The Festival Advisory Board, though separate in mission, works hand in hand with other citizen bodies to build community spirit and strengthen our local identity. In planning our community events, such as the Jubilee and the Christmas Festival, this board cultivates a vibrant, civic-minded community by bringing people together, highlighting local talent, and supporting small businesses. Their work complements broader development initiatives by fostering a sense of belonging and celebration across Red Bank. Board members include Brianna Burns, Chair, Natalie Davis, Sonia Millard, Peggy Rowe, Penny King, Sarah Farnsley, Sandra Fegans, Katie Blackwell, and Dr. Barbara Autry. Direct staff support comes from the Public Works Department and includes Parks Manager Jeffrey Gravey, Program Assistant Tegan Barber. The Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, while standing as its own entity, collaborates indirectly with other citizen boards to enhance the community's physical and social well-being. By supporting projects that expand outdoor opportunities and strengthen neighborhood vitality, the board ensures that Red Bank continues to grow as a community where residents of all ages can connect, play, and thrive. Building the foundation for a healthier, more active, and more connected future, their leadership supports overall quality of life and reinforces the community's long-term goals as identified in the Red Bank Parks and Recreation Master Plan. Board members include Carissa Pyer, Chair, Robin Parker, Vice Chair, Jennifer Crum, Secretary, Gaston Farmer, Kyle Murphy, Patrick Kelly, Randy Leviota, Blake Pierce, Don McKenzie, and Daniela Peterson. Direct staff support comes from the Public Works Department and includes Parks Manager Jeffrey Gravey. Last but not least, we have the Public Art Advisory Board. Though independent in focus, the Art Board contributes to the shared vision upheld by fellow citizen boards in helping to shape the cultural and visual identity of the community. Through the selection and placement of art in public spaces, the board helps create inspiring, welcoming environments that spark creativity and reflect local character. The Public Art Board's initiatives have sparked a wave of firsts in Red Bank. Our first public art mural at Kids Corner, the first round of art-wrapped utility boxes, and most recently, our first arts festival held this past September. Another first to highlight is the Art Board's recent collaboration with local Red Bank art teachers for Phase 2 of public art wraps on utility boxes. Celebrating the vibrant creativity of student artists whose artwork was selected through a student art competition for installation, the Art Board is helping to not only expand our public art footprint, but proudly showcase the next generation of Red Bank talent. Congratulations to student artists Shenny Martinez, Hannah Evans, Alexis Webster, Marisa Odell, and Ellie Murphy. Beyond these accomplishments, the Public Art Board continues to champion a future where public art is woven into the everyday experience of Red Bank residents and visitors alike. Their vision supports a more vibrant, welcoming, and connected community, recognizing that creative placemaking is a powerful tool in community development. By activating public spaces with art, we strengthen civic identity, inspire local pride, and encourage economic and social vitality that benefits our community as a whole. Board members include Tessa Ross, Chair, Taylor Kinzer, Vice Chair, Philip Lucky, Secretary, Megan Ledbetter, Amy Griffith, Megan Furr, Julie Goss, Catherine Billings, and Monique Klaus. Direct staff support comes from the Community Development Department and includes Director Leslie Slay and Office Manager Beth Powell. Our Red Bank Citizen Advisory Boards, each with its own distinct mission, work in collaboration to strengthen the community's quality of life. From shaping development and land use to preserving sacred spaces, supporting nonprofits, celebrating culture, enhancing public art, and improving parks and recreation, These boards serve as a connected network of citizen leaders who contribute to the overall milestones of the Community Development Department. As we prepare for the upcoming FY27 budget cycle, we will propose funding options to support the tools, staffing, and resources necessary to advance the city's initiatives our citizen advisory boards help to champion. Through continued investment in our citizen advisory boards, we can sustain thoughtful planning and community-driven progress that defines our shared vision for Red Bank. To learn more about the impactful work from our Red Bank Citizens Advisory Boards, visit our website at www.redbanktn.gov and follow us on social media.
Thank you. That's the presentation. Again, we'll post that on the website first thing tomorrow under the About Us tab on the homepage. But before that, I do want to take a moment to acknowledge the various board members that are here tonight. If you would please stand, that would be appreciated. All in all, we have 7 citizen advisory boards, and they have 53 total board members. These are all volunteers on behalf of the community of Red Bank. So on behalf of community development and the city of Red Bank, we want to thank you for your continued service to the city, and we look for future outcomes in 2026.
Thank you, Director Slay. Thank you to all of our wonderful neighbors who choose to volunteer their time on our citizen boards, which, without which we wouldn't be able to do all of the wonderful things that are happening in our community. So we're very grateful and appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 2 on our consent agenda, appoint James Smith to the Festival Advisory Board, resolution number 25-1860. Mr. Brady.
Thank you, Mayor Dalton, and what a great presentation to follow up, to be able to add on tonight a total of 4 new members to 2 various boards. So, good evening, Commission. I am very pleased to recommend the appointment of James Smith to the Festival Advisory Board. James is a Red Bank resident with a strong background in quality, safety, and community engagement in his work life. He has expressed how much he enjoys Red Bank festivals and how excited he is to help support and strengthen these community traditions. His communication skills, professionalism, and commitment to service will be a valuable addition to the Festival Advisory Board. We would respectfully recommend his appointment, and I would like to now invite James Smith up to the podium. Thank you, James.
Thanks for being here, Mr. Smith. We appreciate your willingness to volunteer
Thank you. Welcome.
and to be, I think, the only man on our festival advisory board. A much needed perspective. We appreciate it. If there's anything you have any thoughts you want to share, or just
Yeah, I'm really excited to be involved and hear what everybody's been doing.
wonderful.
We appreciate you volunteering for this board, and we're going to throw you right into the fire with the Christmas parade festival on December 15th.
And we do still need some volunteers, maybe, I think.
Yeah, we still have openings for volunteers to volunteer actually walking with the parade to help the flow of the parade continue, and also hand out candy, which you'll get to do.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Smith. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 3 on our consent agenda, appoint Matt Portwood, Sunshine Loveless, and Daniel Willis to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, resolution number 25-1861.
Excellent, thank you, Mayor Dalton. I believe that we have 2 out of the 3. I think Sunshine is trying to make it, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to. So I'm pleased to recommend the appointment of Matt Portwood, Sunshine Loveless, and Daniel Willis to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Their appointments will bring the board to a full membership, and each of them brings important skills that support the transparent, community-centered work this board is known for. Matt Portwood recently moved to Red Bank and is eager to get involved in the community. He brings meaningful experience in bicycle advocacy, community gardening, and nonprofit service. As a small business owner and someone committed to strengthening shared public spaces, he will add a thoughtful, service-driven perspective to the board. Daniel Willis is a resident of Red Bank's North End and wants to ensure his neighborhood has a voice in upcoming parks development and Walk the Parks connections. With a background in outdoor leadership, marketing, cycling, and trail care through both White Oak Bike Co-op and Sorba, he brings both professional insight and on-the-ground experience with how residents use and access outdoor spaces. Last but not least, Sunshine Loveless brings extensive experience in community-based outdoor recreation. Through nonprofit leadership and trail stewardship, as the director of Sorbet Chattanooga and having coordinated volunteer programs, public events, and partnerships across Hamilton County. Their expertise is in accessible trail systems, community engagement, and recreation planning, and will be valuable to the Red Bank as we expand our Parks and Trail network. Together, these three residents offer a strong mix of professional skills, local knowledge, and passion for public service. We respectfully recommend their appointments to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. And if I could have Matt and Daniel come up to the podium. I'll let you say.
Yeah, no, I'm just excited. I think there's a lot of momentum already in this space in Parks and Rec in the city, and really excited about a lot of the initiatives and progress that's already been made. So additive to that experience and advising facility.
We appreciate that. And Matt?
Did you write that thing about me?
I took it off of your application. So you guys supplied me with everything I needed.
You write my intro. Like you said, my family just moved here. I have two small kids, and so I'm pretty excited about the existing access to parks and trail opportunities, and I'm happy to be a part of growing that. So thank you very much.
Thank you both for being willing to volunteer. And I think you started a bike co-op?
It's
Yes.
in my hometown in Valdosta.
It's
Yeah,
amazing.
Wow.
yeah, that was
You,
a decade ago. But
wow. That's incredible. And also, thank you. I'm also in the north part of Red Bank. That's my neck of the woods and Mr. Granham's neck of the woods. So yes, we are also both very passionate about definitely getting some park development happening.
And speaking
Yes.
of the north end, quick shameless plug for some community engagement for possible new park space on the north end by Fire Hall 2. On both December 6th at the Traffic Garden Jams from 11 to 1 p.m., there will be some community engagement provided by our consultant, Kimberly Horn, for what that space can become. And then they will also be back and have a booth at our Christmas Parade Festival on December 13th from 3 to 8 p.m. And we will also be launching an online campaign for those who can't make it. So come out and join us on December 6th and December 13th for those two fun events, and also to have some community engagement and input.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 4 on our consent agenda, authorize an additional $78,548 for the Dayton Boulevard ADA Upgrades Project, PIN number 130774, resolution number 25-1862. Director Tate.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioners, good evening. This resolution is not for an additional expenditure of money. It is for a contract amendment with a company that we formerly was known as Wiser Consultants. They're now HMB Professional Engineering. And back in October of 2024, the MPO reached out and was asking municipalities that had ongoing projects if there was any additional funding needed. And at that point in time, I reached out to HMB and asked them to rerun the numbers, and they come back with a significant increase. The actual increase was $164,000, but of that $164,000, the $78,548 was for professional services, as was covered by the original contract, which was signed in 21 for $119,000. So now that total is, as in the resolution, is up to $198,513. The good part comes in when I submitted this project for a fiscally constrained project consideration. The MPO come back and increased that amount to $317,266 of additional MPO funding for this project, which was significantly more than we asked for. So when this funding becomes available in January, that will cover this additional cost increase. So this resolution is merely to amend the contract with HMD to reflect what we're actually going to pay them at the end of this project side.
Wonderful. Thank you, Director Tate. Once we have those funds, what's that process look like for them finalizing the engineering and design piece?
It should start rolling quite rapidly.
Okay.
Because right now they've already done a large portion of the engineering or the design services. It's just one of those things, we have to wait, we have to pay for it, you have to do it in the phase and all that. So a lot of the work is already done, sitting at the consultant's desk.
Okay.
And so I look forward to, if come January, when we get this money released, I look forward to TDOT moving the widget, and then this thing is going into full speed.
Do we anticipate construction on those separate projects starting next year?
I do. I'm thinking probably by spring. I've already got some interest. Some companies have already reached out because of our resurfacing projects. Some companies have already reached out about the ADA improvements as well. Want to know how they can get on that. That's just it.
Wonderful. Any other questions for Director Tate?
I was not glad to hear that fiscally constrained projects could be funded and not tax us with additional
Well,
fees. So I think that's cool.
I don't know if I should say it or not, but this came about as a result of some very large projects in Chattanooga that got canceled. And so there was some funding that was available for some of the smaller projects.
However.
That's
My understanding that that's like a new term that TDOT has applied like over the past couple, 2-3
Mhm.
years or so to projects that they anticipate lasting for several years. So it sounds maybe different, it doesn't necessarily mean what it sounds like.
Doesn't mean it's bad.
Yes, right.
Yeah. We'll take it.
All right, any other
Absolutely.
questions for Director Tate? Thank you so much.
Okay.
And you have the next one on our consent agenda, approved purchase of a portable pull-behind air compressor from Mid-South Equipment for $19,110.95, resolution number 25-1863.
All right, thank you again, Mayor. This is for just an operational purchase for a pull behind air compressor. It's used for road maintenance, for crack sealing, several different things that a portable air compressor is used for. We have one, I think it's probably like a 1968 model that has a Chevrolet 350 V8 engine in it with half of the cylinders blocked off, so it's only making air on 4 cylinders. But it is very old, very hard to get parts for, and very hard to keep running. And so I budgeted this year in the street division and the stormwater division. I budgeted $12,500 in each of those divisions to share the cost because they both use this asset. And then Randy Bell, our fleet technician, was able to get us a little bit better price at $19,000 each. And so that's what this is for. And it was budgeted in street and stormwater.
Thank you. Any questions about the air compressor? Bravo for keeping something around from 1960.
That's amazing.
Will this one have the same shelf life?
No. They made a lot of Chevy 350 V8 engines to get parts from. This is a Kubota diesel, I don't know. Let's hope. As long as we keep Randy here.
That's right. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 6, first reading to amend the Red Bank Municipal Code Title 20, Chapter 1, Air Pollution Regulations, Ordinance number 25-1294. Director Gold.
Thank you. This is more of an administrative effort. This is part of our partnership with Hamilton County, across the board, multiple agencies we work with. The Bureau of Air Pollution Control does regulate burn permits, those types of things that happen countywide. So this is an administrative effort for them to increase their fees and their certification costs. So it's passing those costs along to applicants as they come through their door.
Right, and we just have to update our ordinance accordingly.
Correct.
All right, any questions about that update? All right, thank you very much. Item 7, first reading to appoint an interim judge for January 12, 2026 through February 10, 2026, ordinance number 25-1293. Mr. Stoltz.
At the risk of redundancy from our meeting the last meeting that we had, the city still finds itself in the distressing position that the city judge's medical condition doesn't allow for him to be able to be with us for any time in the foreseeable future. It's just a big unknown. But the court must go on. And the process for naming an interim judge is as imposed upon us by the charter and by the by state law in general is cumbersome. These appointments cycle every 30 days. So when you look at the agenda item here, that this is a first reading for appointing Brian Haas as a temporary substitute judge, and think, wait, we did that last week. We did, or last time, we did. But this is the second cycle. So the first cycle that we passed on first reading at the last meeting comes on for second reading tonight for the time period beginning January the 8th, December the 8th through the 7th of January. This first reading tonight is for the following cycle from that, running from January the 12th through February the 10th. And so we will be being redundant for some period of time. We're initiating a process of looking into what may need to be done longer term, just as this unknown continues to play itself out for us. But for now, we're stuck in a 30-day cycle of 2 readings of ordinances to appoint a temporary judge.
Thank you very much.
Questions?
Mr. Stahl? I think the way you described it last time was because he's elected.
Yes.
We have to do this. If he was appointed, we could just appoint a new judge.
Yeah, pretty much. But that's a huge, huge, huge difference.
Right. Okay, thank you for walking us through that again.
And I'll be back.
Do we have any questions at this time about this? Item?
Excuse me, I assume since it's an ordinance, we can't just put it in the consent agenda, even though it's.
Correct, because it's a roll call vote. Yeah. All right, thank you very much. Moving on to item 8, first reading to rezone 2633 Simpson Avenue from R1 to RTZ. Ordinance number 25-1296. The public hearing was held at the advertised meeting date on November 18, 2025. Mr. Pham.
Good morning.
Hello.
Had a cup of tea before I came over, so I'm a little bit caffeinated. And I also feel a little bit in awe because, I think all of you know that I moved from thousands of miles away to this town because of how much people care about it. And so to hear that there's at least 53 citizens makes me a little bit emotional because it's exactly why I moved here and why I wanted to work here with you all and with them. So, yeah, thank you to all of them. For me, I have a presentation. There's a few slides that I'm going to use. I hope so.
Hold, please.
Go up to open this. Microsoft. I think this is. That's fine.
Yeah, there's one above this.
Those are just ordinance.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. I can work with my old slides. The 263 Simpson rezoning is fairly standard, but I know that there's been some outspoken citizens about the property and lots of questions from planning commissioners and city commissioners. So I wanted to do a little bit of a dive into how staff make their recommendations about rezoning ordinances and how we review those requests. So as a kind of a starting point, on the left, we have 15 zones. These are all the zones that Red Bank has. We don't utilize all of them, actually. We don't use the R5 zone. and we don't use the O1 zone. But pretty much every other zone we use. Why do we have 15? I'm not sure. There's no standard of how many zones a city needs, depending on the population or the square footage or miles. We don't really know. And so one of the ways that the staff goes about this review is we interpret the zoning code. And so we look at a rezoning request, and if someone says that the thing that they want to build with their money on their property is currently zoned in R1 residential, they want to know if they can do it somewhere else. And so they suggest either R2 or an RTZ, and we go through a review of that. And one of the ways that we do that is we balance these three things that are in the center. This is the purpose of a rezoning review. Property rights are obviously a very important facet of property ownership, and it's based on the idea that if I have the privilege of owning property, I also have the privilege of doing what I want. And almost every level of jurisdiction in the United States will agree that this is true within reason. If I want to build a battery recycling plant next to a park, that's not really within reason. That would also fall into the in-between space between property rights and public good. And so we're balancing those two things. Comprehensive plan, which you all and all staff and everyone in the city of Red Bank who decided to show up for a public engagement event is right here. It's a very robust document, and so it bears a lot of weight when we make decisions about what are the property rights that we're not going to infringe upon, what is the public good, and what is the vision of the future city, which is the comprehensive plan. And we try to balance those things because we know that ultimately down the line, we're going to have impacts on the health, safety, and welfare of the community. It can either constrain or cultivate growth and stagnation in the community. It can encourage investment. It can impact architectural character. And I think sometimes there's some confusion about what this means. I think it's commonly known that Red Bank doesn't really have an architectural character. We have a lot of different kinds of housing, but there's no set standard for how our houses look. There's a good example across the river in the Fort Wood neighborhood, which has these beautiful Victorian homes, and those are all guided by a zoning ordinance which says you have to build with these materials, this architecture, but we don't have those in Red Bank. It can impact the economy. Now, an R1 zone isn't inherently more valuable or more impactful on the economy than a C1 zone, but depending on how the city utilizes it and how the zoning development standards constrain or cultivate growth, it can really hinder or it can really promote the economy. And then it's well known that transportation is a key facet of land use planning. I know a couple weeks ago, Charles was here talking about CARTA and their Service Cross region. Dayton Boulevard corridor would be, a prime place to put a fixed line maybe if we had a really good land use and zoning ordinance that would be able to supplement those kinds of mass transit. But as of right now, it's not really suitable. So yeah, these are kind of all the ways that we decide to review a zoning ordinance and decide, is this an appropriate rezoning request or not? You can go down to this one, Stacey. Tracy. So we have a couple of exercises that we go through when we're doing rezoning requests. One of them I call a density study, and we basically draw a line around the neighborhood. And a neighborhood is vague. It could be 4 houses around the property. It could be 10 houses around the property. This one is just a small section of Simpson. And what this 2633 request is asking for is instead of building 2 houses on these lots, he wants to subdivide and then be able to build 3 houses. So some simple arithmetic would be the existing density right now is 5.1 dwelling units per acre. If we allow the rezoning request, it would bump it up to 5.4 dwelling units per acre, which is really not that different. The RTZ zone itself has a cap at 8 dwelling units per acre, so this is still far below the RTZ maximum. You can go down. And then even if you draw the line bigger, because I know sometimes we question, is this a big enough bubble that we're drawing? Do we need to build it smaller? And so here in the greater neighborhood, which is Dayton Boulevard all the way up to Berkeley, the existing density is 3.8 dwelling units per acre, and the change in density with this allowance of this RTZ development would be about 3.9. So not that great of an impact. You can go down. And then this is just a zoomed in view of a conceptual site plan of what the property would look like if these 3 homes were allowed to be built. So again, there's two existing parcels there, and the applicant is proposing to dissolve that middle lot line and draw these three faded ones, and build about 1,400 square foot homes. Still single family detached, so very similar in character to the surrounding houses. And this is an example of what an R1 zone could, by right development, would allow I think this is something like a 3,000 square foot building footprint, which is enormous and not at all like any other houses in the neighborhood. And so it's not necessarily, a huge departure from the neighborhood character to allow the RTZ zone if we're going to also allow in the R1 zone 3,000 square foot building footprint. So that's just a couple of the exercises we go through when we do a recommendation. And so the staff recommendation was to approve, and we went through 2 planning commissions of reviewing this one, and they all recommended approval unanimously.
Excellent.
Any questions?
So just to clarify, the current zoning allows 2 units to be built there by right. And
Yes.
the only change that this is proposing is that there'll be 3 units rather than 2.
Yes.
And they'd probably be smaller than if it was just 2,
Yes.
which means they might be at a lower purchase price.
Yeah.
I had a comment. I wondered what the density study was, and so you clarified. It's
Yeah.
interesting to draw around the neighborhood and in the greater neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a simple exercise, but I think when people think about, RTZ zone, they think it's gonna be a really high density, and it's really not, it's capped. And also, the whole point of the 2015 zoning code, when they incorporated the RTZ zone, was to incorporate these smaller building footprints and have a density that was similar to single family neighborhoods. And so this is kind of a perfect example, not this one, but the pink homes, is a perfect example of why they implemented the RTZ zone, so that there would be, smaller lots that were complementary to the surrounding single family neighborhoods.
Thank you.
Any other questions about this agenda item? Item number 9 is first reading to rezone 2633B Simpson Avenue from R1 to RTZ, ordinance number 25-1297. And the public hearing for this was also held on November 18th, 2025. This is the 2 parcels that we've been talking about, correct?
Yeah.
But we have to vote on them separately because they are currently still subdivided?
It's-
Or they are currently still 2 lots?
It's still 2 lots.
Okay. So this is the same scenario. Do we have any further questions for Mr. Bankley at this time? Okay, all right, thank you very much. Moving on to item 10, public hearings. Our first public hearing is final plat for acquisition of property via donation by Hill Point Homeowners Association. Directors.
Thank you. Yes, this is really more some housekeeping efforts on our part. We've talked for the past couple of months about your ordinance that deals with disposition of property. It vaguely references acquisition. We as staff made a determination that it should follow the same process if we were buying versus whether something's being donated. So this is that last step along the way. We do have a final plat survey that's been provided. It's making its rounds with its formal signatures. But again, to satisfy the compliance of our ordinance for acquisition, disposition of property, we do need to hold a public hearing to reflect the final plat before it gets recorded.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr. Slate. And we're not voting on this. We already voted to accept the donation. This is just the final
Correct.
plat.
Correct. The resolution that you adopted that authorized the process to continue, that's what triggered our opportunity to do a formal plat.
Thank you. So it's where the dotted lines?
Yes, so the dotted lines in there, that rectangle area is affectionately the entrance to the field. And then the pigtail that is solid is what they're keeping. And the solid line there will keep a border between city-owned property and the HOA individual owners, as it is HOA-owned property. So if there's a dispute, we are dealing with one entity instead of several individuals.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any questions? Any more questions for Dr. Slack?
No, I would just comment, or a lot of plats and, survey drawings for work, and lot 26 is one of the wildest plats I've ever seen.
20+ years of planning, and yes, it's very unique.
Glad I'm on draft.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Our next public hearing will be on our intent to exceed the recertified tax rate to 1.1306 per $100 of assessed property value, ordinance number 25-1295. Mr. Graham and Director Perry.
Thank you, Mayor. And regarding the previous topic, I'll also highlight that there's additional property in addition to the proximate to the field. There's further around the shore between Hill Point HOA and the White Park is in that, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So there's two separate parcels that we're accepting.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Quite a bit of land.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. And commissioners, thank you. We're gonna have to do this all over again at the public hearing. And normally CFO Chris Pepple would be up here, but in her absence, she's on holiday. Tracy and I are standing in for her. What's that? So our audio visuals on the blink a little bit. I'll just call your attention to the slides that, are they in the agenda packet? Not sure they made it in your printed packet. They're on the website. Basically, this corrects the previously certified tax rate. It amends ordinance 25-1282 that establishes the general revenue tax at $13.06, 1.1306 for FY26, the current fiscal year. Background. Tennessee municipalities undergo property reappraisal every 4 years, according to statute. The process updates fair market values and maintains revenue neutrality. The year 2025 is a reappraisal year for the city of Red Bank. However, there were errors made in the certified tax rate process. The certified tax rate was incorrectly set at 0.8968. According to the State Board of Equalization, once tax bills are mailed, and they have been mailed, there was no way to correct the error until the next year. This error created a revenue shortfall in the FY26 budget, the current year budget of a revenue shortfall. Correct tax determination. The correct revenue neutral certified tax rate was jointly determined to be 1.0775, just shy of $1.08. And these materials are available on our website and are also in the packet. The corrected certified tax rate memo from the comptroller titled Corrected 2025 Certified Tax Rate and dated 26 November, and the assessor's corrected certified tax rate calculation form are both posted in the finance section of our website. To meet budgetary needs, the required tax rate for FY26 is set at $13.06, 1.1306 per $100 of assessed value. This is the tax rate that would have produced the budgeted property tax revenue of $5,512,500. So we're not changing the projected revenue, the projected property tax raw dollars. The mistake we're correcting is the original rate was wrong, won't produce that property tax. So this resets the rate to the correct amount that would have produced that property tax. A public hearing will be held later on tonight here in the commission chambers, and public comments will be received and addressed. Key provisions. This ordinance establishes a tax rate of 1.1306 per $100 of assessed value for FY26. It serves as the official general revenue ordinance and amends all prior inconsistent ordinances, especially ordinance 25. That's right. There's a typo on my slide here. 1282. Yes, it amends 25-1282. Thanks, Mayor. Because FY 25-26, this current year, tax bills have already been issued and partially collected, the city cannot collect the marginal difference in corrected taxes. The budget shortfall is estimated to be $762,286 this fiscal year. And I'd be glad to answer any questions. Hopefully we'll get the audio visual working for our public hearing.
Commissioner, questions, please, thank you. How is this implemented since the tax bills have already gone out?
Basically, this is just setting the record straight, and there's
Okay.
essentially practically very little effect in terms of our revenue this year. We are going to experience the shortfall of $760,286, $750,000. But this sets us up for, if the legislature is contemplating property tax cap, and our discussion, the discussion would not start at the current 98 cents, it was $1 and $1.13. Because that's the rate that the commission intended to establish, based on the property tax we budgeted for.
So it's basically updating the documentation and being corrected.
Yes, ma'am, that's exactly right.
Second question I have, are we making any strides as to making some additional adjustments to the budget where it would be, I mean, they're all tough calls.
They are.
When the funds are not coming in, how are we making adjustments, purchases and monies?
Yes, thank you. We refer to that internally at staff as belt tightening. And we are going through that with every department. We're delaying some capital projects. We are to implement a hiring freeze effective 1 January. So the vacancies that we've got right now, we have to fill. We can't sit on these vacancies. We have 5 vacancies in one of our departments. And so we can't have that level of impact. So we're going to continue to fill those because they would have the full 6 months. But anything that happens after 1 January, the plan now is to just live with that vacancy until the next fiscal year. There's a handful of department-specific belt tightening measures that have been worked out with the CFO and each department director, and I'm not privy to that yet because we haven't circled the wagons internally to actually agree to that plan completely. But it's deferring capital, department-specific, hiring freeze after 1 January. Those are the big ones. But actually, the other part of the story that we're not talking about is there was a host of mid-year corrections that we were contemplating, many around personnel costs that are just completely off the table. So we can't say we're saving those dollars because they never existed, but the reality was we live in a very dynamic world and there was a need to make some additional investments mid-year that we're not even going to talk about. You might recall that Chattanooga significantly, they made a generational change in their police and fire pay. And we're already experiencing that. And there's no headroom in our budget to have that conversation this budget year. There's some emerging software technology that we were taking a hard look at that would have really impacted our finance and our payroll, and we're not going to take a look at that this year. So there are things that were coming along that we were preparing to bring to the commission to consider that we're not going to do that. So belt tightening is the order of the day internal to the city, and in January we'll come back with a fully baked plan that will be ready for your consideration in terms of how we're going to react to that. I also would say use of fund balance. That's going to be a part of it. So we will end the fiscal year with less of a fund balance. We came into the fiscal year with a healthy fund balance. At the end of the fiscal year, we will still have an adequate fund balance. We will not be on the comptroller's watch list. We will not be struggling to make payments. These TDOT projects that we hear a lot about, we get 6-figure bills doing. When they send us invoice, they send us a wall of them in invoice. And so the fund balance allows us to pay those irregardless of when we're doing our revenue collections. So we will still be healthy enough to pay the bills that come, even the big ones, without having to get what they call a TAN, a tax anticipation note. We're not there. We're healthy financially.
Mr. Graham, thank you so much. I hate to interrupt you, but we are 4 minutes past when we're supposed to stop the citizen comments.
Yeah.
And we are going to be talking about this in the regular meeting, so I would like us to definitely just pause and we will continue in just a little bit. We'll The time is now for citizen comments on items on the work session agenda. Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Greg. This is the time for citizen comments. Please observe these rules. Comments are limited to 2 minutes here in work session or less, and the city of Port will allow their time expires. Please respect her direction and conclude in comments. Comments should be addressed to the board as a whole and not to a particular commissioner or city staff or to the audience. The commission is here to listen, not to respond or engage in back and forth, so please do not expect to reply during citizen comments. Citizens are now invited to the podium. Please begin by stating your name and address.
Okay, if we have no citizen comments, we'll move on to item 12. Is there any other business to discuss? All right, in that case, we'll go ahead and adjourn our work session meeting and we'll return at 6 o'clock for our regular meeting.